Hey, this is Brian, and today we have I don't even know a word good enough to use. I normally go real treat, but man, we've been talking here, and Frank is a 30-year-old veteran, real estate, entrepreneur, husband, dad, rides a Harley.
Hell yeah.
This guy's a man's man. And to sit here and look at a 30-year-old man, I'm a little jealous, Frank. I got to be honest. I'm a little jealous of where you're at in life. So, guys, a special guest today, Frank Donley. Frank, tell us a little bit about where you're at right now and what's going on with you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yes, sir.
But, I'm blessed. My family, we do real estate. My wife and myself, it's a real estate team.
Right.
And we're helping people in North Alabama, Southern California. Long story short, I met this beautiful Southern belle in Virginia when I was in the military.
Nice.
And took her to California. She brought me to Alabama, and I fell in love with Alabama. Good place to raise kids.
Yes.
And now we got kids, and we just bust our ass and take care of families. But at the same time, we try to bring value to others around us.
Right.
We sell real estate, but also we try to help other people along the path with more than just selling a home. If it's a consumer in the marketplace, or if it's other entrepreneurs like ourselves, when it comes to people that want to elevate their business and game and try to bring value to one another.
Bro, that's so cool. And that's, guys, we met basically on Facebook, if I remember correctly. And this guy, being the genius that he is, said, hey, I'm moving to the area. Can you tell me which county does what? What's the school systems? I didn't know the guy was in real estate, but I think he was doing his homework to find out some things. And me being from here, I'm thinking, hey, and then come to find out, we end up, your wife and her brother and my former business partner had the connection there, right? Like they had worked together. And so,
small world.
Yeah, especially in Alabama, right? So the cool factor is we meet on social media. We're communicating about business. We're helping each other in any way we can. And then we happen to look at our T-ball schedule as we're coaching at the little local park, and we're playing against your boys. Yeah. And I think we probably spent more time at the playground talking after the game.
Yes, we did.
Than the game. So, you meet a guy on Facebook, you don't really know who you're talking to. You're talking to a picture, and then you get to know him. Now you're here. Brother, I'm honored to have you here. So I just want to tell people, how much I respect you and what you've been able to do. So if you want to start with your military service or where you were at, bring us up to date and kind of paint us a picture here, Frank. Just roll us through your story. So
let's just start back from the military.
Okay.
I left my little small hometown in Southern California, a little farm town. Started getting rough around high school time. So I needed to get away from all the bullshit and when life starts getting rough and you're 18 years old, getting thrown to the wolves, and you got to fend for yourself. And I knew I wanted more than what most people were getting in my little hometown. I joined the military. I loved it. I made rank pretty quick.
Nice.
No matter what I do, I give 110%. Bust my ass, go balls to the wall. Right. I don't know how to do anything else. So made rank pretty quick in the military. Did 5 years. I was actually going to do a life, but my wife got pregnant, which is my girlfriend at the time. And man, she was, check her out. You probably see a picture on my Instagram.
She's beautiful. She is beautiful.
She's beautiful.
Yes, in person and in pictures.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. It's cool as hell, man. And when I found out she was pregnant, I wasn't going to re-enlist.
Right.
And I just didn't want to be away from my kids on deployments and shit, because, I've seen what that does, to men. I've seen some of the toughest men, cry on deployments because they're away from their kids. Sometimes, they're crying about their old ladies, pussies, but I'm just kidding. But being away from your kids, man, it's just, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to do something different. So I got out of the military to go do law enforcement.
Okay.
Law enforcement is one of those things I've always wanted to do. And at this time, I was going through the process, and then whatever reasons I didn't get picked up, and I was like, I'm going to try again. And then I'm like, I got to do something while I'm going to school, trying to put food on the table for my kids.
Right.
These kids are eating me out of the house.
Right.
And even looking at my bank account, I'm like, shit, dude. I'm like, I got to figure something out.
Yeah.
So I got my real estate license.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to do this while I'm going through the law enforcement process, And it was the biggest blessing in disguise. It was rough at first 6 months. It took me 6 months to get my first house sold. So some people, they can come across it and, maybe pick up a sell. But most people, they never even sell a house after they get their license.
Really?
I want to say maybe 33% of the people actually make it in real estate after they get licensed. After 2 years, they're out the business. But it's just, how it is, unfortunately. But once I started learning how to sell real estate, I started getting involved with a coaching program, which was Mike Ferry organization. And man, they took my business to the next level.
Right.
I started picking up the phones, dialing, building relationships with the right people.
Right.
And then I got a job acceptance with a former law enforcement department. And then I was like, how the fuck am I going to how am I going to live the lifestyle that I'm living with this job? And I was like, if I do take this job, my wife's going to have to work and someone else is going to have to raise my kids.
Yeah.
So me and the wife talked, and I just told her, hey, I'm going to do real estate. You can stay home with the kids. And I'm big on my wife having that involvement with the children before they went to school. And then I busted my ass those years, a lot of late nights, early mornings. Mm-hmm. But now we're kind of reaping those benefits because our kids were raised by my wife. And then on top of that, now, like about a year and a half, 2 years ago, my wife started getting involved in the business once the kids started school. Yes. So now we're doing it together. Now we're helping each other. And my kids, they're raised on how we raised them. Versus, not everybody has that blessing, but sometimes, I was willing to sacrifice my dream to make sure my kids had what they deserve. And that's what we should do as a man. Wouldn't you agree?
I think you guys understand why I said at the beginning, I'm a little jealous of where you're at 30 years old, man. The maturity level, the dedication to your family, and the thing that you're always evolved. You're always, but I don't want people to take the wrong picture here. You solidify the real estate business and you put it in a good place, and now your wife's there. And then you look at other opportunities to grow. And that's the cool thing about being around guys like you is I feel like you find a way to be okay with where you're at, but you're never satisfied.
I'll never be satisfied.
Does that kind of make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense. Okay. And I noticed once I start like, oh, you know what, I'll be okay with just, let's just say.
Say the number, man. Tell them. Say the number.
My highest amount I've ever brought in was a little over $300K.
Yeah.
And then $285 from real estate, some other income from other avenues that probably brought me around $320, $325.
Sure.
And that was the most I've ever made. But like I tell people, it wasn't the happiest I was because I was away from my kids.
There you go.
So as a man now, I'm trying to find that balance where I can make good money, but have a good relationship with my children so I can make sure I'm investing in them. But, there's going to be a time where, $1 million hits and
sure.
You can grow. But I'm not trying to sacrifice my children, which, if that makes sense.
Frank, it makes perfect sense. I'm only going to correct one thing that you just said right there. I think you said if that deal happens, it's going to be a win for you, brother. It's going to be a win for you because of who you are. And what I'm hearing is, it's so cool to me to hear that, okay, you've had, making six figures, guys, it's not that much anymore. $150,000, you ain't going to take care of a family and you're not going to be able to do anything. Now we're talking 300. You're starting to get into, closer to that top 5% of earners, and you're able to do other things. So the thing that, I'm hearing, Frank, is you didn't come into it and start looking for the easy way. You didn't look for, I've got to be here with my kid. No, my wife's going to be here. I'm going to go bust my ass. I'm going to figure this out. And your boys are 6?
My twins are 6.
Twins are 6, yeah? So, My youngest is 6 as well, right? Because that's at the ballpark. But to hear that you implemented that first, you went out and learned the business. You didn't sit back and say, "Oh, I've got an idea where I don't have to do anything." All right. Yeah. So, you work smart. Okay. I think in the military, you probably worked hard.
Yeah.
And now you work a little smarter, maybe.
I work.
Here at Smith Financial Services, we take care of small business owners, 1099 contract workers, and their families. We know insurance can be rough if you're a small business owner, so we are here to make things easy. Visit our website, smithfinancial.services, to learn more.
Maybe.
I work a lot smarter now versus probably 3-4 years ago when I was putting 80 hours a week. And
tell us about that. Because I don't know if there's such a thing as balance. When you're a dad and you're a business owner, you have to kind of be where your feet are. And I use the acronym WIN. What's important now? Mm-hmm. Am I being a dad? Then I need to be a dad.
Exactly.
If I'm doing the podcast, I need to be focused on the podcast. Yeah. If I'm helping in the other, be where your feet are. So how are you able to do that? Because I've seen you with your wife, and it's obvious that they like each other. I've seen you with your kids.
I don't know if you feel the same way 100%
well, not all the time. No, not all the time. But they love each other.
Most of the time.
Yeah. So I've seen her at your event that I got to go to where you were speaking with those other guests, man, and getting to see them and the family support. So how do you do that, Frank? How do you set that standard and build that culture in your own home?
Man, it might be because of my skin color, being Mexican-American.
Okay.
Family's everything.
Awesome.
And one thing I've noticed along the Hispanic culture, not everybody, but most of the time, very tight when it comes to family.
Yes.
But if you look at the downside, unfortunately, a lot of Hispanics aren't in that 5% when it comes to prosperity, when it comes to wealth and stuff like that. But they're very rich when it comes to family.
Yes.
So trying to instill that family first for my family is huge for me.
Yeah.
No matter what I'm doing, my kids are involved. There's times where I go door knocking, and I take my kids with me.
Hold on. Did you say you go door knocking?
I go door knocking. I probably should do more, but I go door knocking.
And you've made over $250,000 in 1 year, and you still door knock?
I still door knock.
I love it.
Yeah, and the wife goes with me too.
I love it.
It's a family thing.
Yeah.
And I think getting my family involved, they're like, there's my dad,
That's so
Dad's
cool.
out there doing his thing.
They're proud.
Yeah, they're very proud. So
That's
it's,
awesome.
Instilling family when it comes to business, I think is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that let's just say, if I am busting my ass, but I involve my family, my kids are starting to see what it's like to put in the work. Not to sit at home all day. Right. Don't get me wrong, I like to drink beer and drink every now and then.
Well, we may have one after this.
Exactly, I'm down with it. But I don't want them to be like, oh, my dad's a guy that when he clocks out of work, all he does is sit on the fucking couch drinking beer like most guys nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to be like, oh, Dad, can you play catch with me? And I'm that dad that's like, I'm too busy. Because I'm too fucking lazy or too burnt out after a 40-hour work week.
Yeah, come on.
Unfortunately, that's most Americans nowadays.
Yeah.
In our country, a lot of dads that aren't putting that time in, and moms as well.
Yeah.
But I understand it's not easy.
Sure.
But we need to make sure we do it for those kids and for the future of America.
Again, I don't know how many times you're going to throw out a nugget, and I'm going to relay it to somebody a little bit older than you that I respect, brother. And I was fortunate to get to listen to Andy Elliott speak at the beginning of last year.
Nice.
And he said,
he's a badass.
Yeah, Andy, you a badass. We'll see you in March. The bring your family with you was kind of his speech that day. It's what I took from it. Yes, he had a guy on stage that could recite and handle any objection on the phone. And it was a sales training. So, Andy, I did get the point. But ultimately, when he said, bring your family with you, and then I hear a guy like Jesse Itzler say, this year in 2024, because we're doing the big-ass calendar where we put our family stuff first, we plan our business around our schedule. We don't plan our schedule around our business. Nice. Okay? Thank you, Jesse, for that. But he said in 2024, he's going to make sure when he comes home that if his kid wants to have a catch at 8 p.m., that he's going to have a catch at 8 p.m. Nice. Just like you just said, brother. And that's what you're saying, things that these multimillionaires are saying. That's what intrigues me about you. So, you guys hear me enough. So, Frank, take us from the real estate, the door knocking, the cold calls, everything that people hate to do. I also saw something on your Instagram where you may look a little different when you're negotiating a deal versus showing a home. Tell us how you do that social media and how are you building that side?
So how I'm building the social media or how I'm different when it comes to a listing presentation or negotiating a deal?
I like both because I like that post that you made where it had the 2 pictures.
Yeah.
Right?
So when it comes to business, you got to know when you got to be a pit bull and when you got to know when to be a professional and you got to know when to lay back.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you don't learn when you get right into business. But as time goes on, if you see me at a listing presentation, I wear a suit every time. I would never go to a listing presentation not wearing a suit.
Okay.
And I'm a professional at the table. Of course, I can handle objections when needed. And you got to understand, I'm 30 years old when I got into business. I was 25 in a predominantly older community. Everybody's is a retirement community. And then most of my competition were 50 plus. I'm the young gun, young cat, and I got tattoos and shit.
Right.
So it's like these people need to see me as an authority when it comes to real estate business as a professional. So that's why I wear the suit quite a bit. And I don't really want to get away from it now. When I show homes, I still wear a suit. For the first meeting, and I get a feel for the client. Sure. And I got to know, okay, this person. Like I had clients say, you don't got to wear a suit when you come to show us houses. And if I know I can dress down a little bit, but I make sure to still dress professional. But when it comes to negotiating deals, there's times where I got to be a bulldog, man. Yeah. There's some times where I got to really fight for my clients.
Absolutely.
And I'm military, grew up rough. I'm not a pussy. Yeah. So I will fight for my clients. Right. Which, unfortunately, in this business, there's a lot of people that won't. They're just like, oh, I need a paycheck. That commission breath shows. It does. Me personally, I don't have that commission breath. Been blessed because I learned if you have that commission breath, you're gonna put your own selfish needs in front of your clients. Now I'll never do that. And so I know when to be a bulldog, but you got to know your market too. You got to know what's going on. Yeah. You got to know when to give in. Yeah. And I've learned that, especially this past year. And on negotiating, on knowing when to give in and telling your client, hey, you know what? This is the market. You would have got $500,000 last year. It ain't that year. You're lucky if you get $475,000. And you got to break you got to be honest and straightforward with people instead of trying to sugarcoat shit. And I think that's what separates me from the competition.
I love it. And when you go into those deals, okay, is there a story that you have where you may have not got the house sold or bought based on it wasn't the right deal for the client, but you could have got paid on that deal? Have you ever? Man,
so I'll tell you a story.
Come
on. Before I came back to Alabama, I had a homeboy, which is a good friend of mine. Yeah. And he trusts me with his business. And he has a roofing company. Okay. And he asked me to come to his house. He's thinking about selling his house. But I've sat with this guy, a good friend of mine, multiple times, how he said he wanted to start building his rental portfolio. And could have easily listed his house, got his property sold, made 15, 12 grand at the time. Okay. And I told him, I was like, I would love to get you top dollar. I can get you top dollar easy. But you did tell me you want to build that rental portfolio, right? And he's like, yeah, I do. I was like, why the fuck don't you just rent this property? And he was like, well, he's like, aren't you supposed to list in my house? I was like, yeah, I can make money right now. But what's the right thing to do right now? Yeah. And he's like, yeah. I was like, and I asked him, what's your mortgage right now? He said like $1,100. Right. I was like, you know how much you can rent your house for? And he's like, oh, I think I can get $2,000. The guy's probably getting more than that for his property now. Right. And now he's cash flowing some good amount. He can pull equity from that property whenever the fuck he wants. Yes. Or let's just say if he ever needed to, he can sell that property and probably make more than what he would have sold that property for, let's say a few years ago. Of course. And but yeah, those are the situations where I could have closed him like that. He trusts me. And number two, I could sell fucking ice to a fucking Eskimo. Right. And but just because I have that power doesn't mean I'm gonna take advantage of someone. That's the difference between, doing what's right or being a piece of shit. It really is. And thank you for saying that. And I'm not perfect, Right. I tell people all the time, I'm a good man, but I ain't perfect because right. But at the same time, that's what separates, from doing the right thing and the wrong thing.
Well, step into the future with Power Loops, the king of off-grid power, where our proprietary system is changing the game of energy. This isn't just power, it's freedom. the freedom to live, work, and play anywhere, powered by our innovative technology that taps into the Earth's natural energy. Our system is designed for efficiency, durability, and sustainability, ensuring that you have reliable power 365 days a year without harming the planet. Whether you're traveling in the RV, the remote wilderness, or just opting out of traditional power grids, Power Loops provides the ultimate solution. Join us in leading the charge towards a cleaner, greener, and more empowered world. Power Loops, the king of off-grid energy. Well, I've a guy that I've grown to respect here recently. You know, he said a lot of decisions are based on faith or fear. I don't sense a lot of fear from you, Frank. I don't sense a lot of hesitation to do the right thing. And is that a tribute to where you grew up? Is that a tribute to who taught you that? Or is that just something that you've, you know, you said from your family and your culture and how important that is, you know, but how do you feel about that?
So, like I don't like making decisions out of fear. Right. Have I done it before? Yeah, of course. We all have. We've all been there. I don't like making decisions out of fear, greed. I try my best to do what's right 100% of the time, as long as I feel it in my gut. But growing up, I grew up, my life was a roller coaster as a kid growing up. And so, it being a roller coaster, there's times where our family was doing really well, and there's times with no fucking lights, and I had to go to my grandparents' house. Eating top ramen. And there's times where, as a kid, even with my father was, he's, my dad's my dad.
Okay, I got you.
But he showed me a lot of bad things I want not to do. Probably more than anything.
Okay, yeah.
But he showed me certain things how to walk the line.
Okay.
And in certain areas on what to be a man. I learned how to walk the line because of him. Mm-hmm. And he, of course, I always tell people, like, I'm blessed. God does everything for a reason. Yeah. But he made a lot of the bad things and unfortunate situations made me the man I am today. And then, of course, growing up and then being around in a rough neighborhood. Yeah. You can either go into that lifestyle, go down the fucking a bad path, or you can, you know what, I'm gonna do this right and go the opposite way. So it was always tough growing up. But once I had that going on for me, but then I also had a good family on my mom's side, which my mom's side's amazing, good Catholic family. Okay. So it was kind of getting pulled in two different directions. And, so I know what's right, I know what's wrong, but at the same time, you got to have balls too, Yeah. So it's exactly. So you get pulled in two different directions, and then going to the military really, I don't want to say made me a man, but it helped me, put a better head on my shoulders, right. Made me tougher, and I even met a beautiful wife on top of it. But it straightened me out, showed me discipline, which I needed discipline because I didn't have discipline growing up. Yeah, I was a hard worker, but no fucking discipline. Got it. But yeah, as I grew up from that, you can either do what's right or wrong. And I choose, I wouldn't say 100% because I'm not perfect, but 99% of the time, I choose what's right. I got you. Sorry for going down the rabbit hole.
No, brother, no. It's that's what this is for. And there's so many 30-year-olds out there, Frank, that are trying to figure out if they should get their real estate license and what they should do. And you're providing a lot of insight here. The one thing
get your real estate license if you're thinking about it.
Why not, right? Yeah. Time's going to pass anyway. You might as well get something done. As you look at your success, okay, I think it all starts at home. And with you're saying that family's most important. So we've established that. Now your real estate business is taken off and your wife is involved. And I got to hear a really cool guy speak with you a few months ago. Yeah. And tell me some things that being in a group or how you're growing. What's next on the horizon for Frank that you can share with us that doesn't get you in, that you can share now. We'll go there.
Okay, cool, man. So what's on the horizon now, we're going to keep helping families selling houses, but we're also looking for partnerships with other agents that are trying to grow as well.
Okay.
And that's what we're looking for now. I got a network of some of the best agents across the nation. I'm networked with Brian Costello, James Shelby, Robert Villanueva.
Yes.
And these guys, guys that have made a lot of money in real estate, have coached in real estate as well.
Right.
No, I'm not looking to coach at the moment. That's not something I'm looking to do.
Right.
But I'm willing to help people that are looking for help.
Right.
Just a little bit of advice. And if you want to bang phones with myself or my wife, we're willing to bang phones together so they can hear and see what we're doing.
Right.
And when people, of course, partner with us, with Real Broker, we have a partnership. And I have an interest in them because with our company, it's very similar to multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
And some people might frown at it, but at the same time, if you can provide value and you're able to lift people up, why not?
Well, here's the thing that I've always, I like that definitely. But on the multi-level marketing side, can you tell me one business that is not multi-level marketing?
Not too many.
I don't know of any. Like in the military, there's a ranking system, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a multi-level hierarchy.
Yeah.
There's guys that are in this brokerage that have been there longer than you, that you lean on.
Yeah.
And now you're providing the newcomers insight and how to.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there's a couple people that have done a few more podcasts than us and a few people who haven't got started. So as I look at things, it's like, again, what's your perception of it? And Frank, that's the breath of fresh air, I should say, when talking to you, is you see things from a very educated standpoint, from your street smart, your common sense, your military training, your real estate license. You see things from a business standpoint. You see things from an ethical standpoint. But you also look at it from, is this the right thing to do? Like you said, 99% of the time, you're looking at the right thing to do. So, what are some connections or people that have inspired you that you would want to maybe reach out to or give credit to?
So I definitely give credit to the Mike Ferry organization. That's a coaching program that I joined. Wasn't my first year, I think it was my second year in business. Okay. First year I sold 6 homes.
Okay.
It was maybe 40 grand is what I made. A little take or give in the business. And I was struggling. I was like, I got to figure a way out. Unfortunately, the brokerages that I was at, they were like, oh yeah, just post on social media or sit at the desk and hope somebody calls you.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, there has to be a fucking better way than this. Right. And so I reached out to a bunch of top producers, and then most of them were involved in that coaching program. So I reached out, and at this time, I started learning the processes that they were doing, but I didn't have the money to afford the coaching program, which it was about $1,000 a month. Or $650 for the lower program. Okay. And I was like, I ain't got the money for that shit right now. Right. I'm like, I barely put food on the table for my damn kids. Yeah. My babies are eating me out the house. Right. And then there was one point where I just said, fuck it. I put it on the credit card. And I hate credit, man. I was like, put it on the credit card. Best thing I ever did, man. I went from 6 to 16 units to 34 units one year. And in California, of course, that's, selling those houses is a little bit more money, of course, in Alabama. Right. But, I went from 40 to 120 to 225 to 285 in real estate. That's not including other income. Right. That's where it got me over that $250,000, and it was because of that program. And, I'm very, very thankful. And so I give a lot of credit to the Mike Fair organization. And my measly $300,000 a year, some of these guys are making $1 million plus.
Who gets the most credit though, Frank?
The most credit?
You.
I appreciate that.
Because what I just heard you say is you didn't get online and look up realestateguru.com. You reached out to people who were successful in the industry and found out who they're using. Yeah. Right? You got on the phone. Yeah. You used your voice. You told somebody what you wanted and what you wanted to accomplish, and they said, well, this guy can provide that. And you now know it would have cost you money if you hadn't invested in yourself. Yeah. Right? So, man, take this project right here. You know, a few months ago, we're looking at it going, okay, how are we going to fund it? How we get, what, you know, what? You just figure it out, right?
Badass.
You just figure it out,
if you're an entrepreneur, you better get your ass in here.
It is cool. It is cool. So we've got your house in order. Your kids, your wife, the business is growing. You're looking at opportunities to help people. You're growing. You know, what are some things that we could do as consumers if we're looking to buy or sell a home? What are some checklists? What are some things that we could do to look at? How would I know the value of my home? If I wanted to sell it, what could I call you? How would that play out?
How would that play out? So if you know me, or even if you don't know me, reach out to me. I'll get you squared away. I do have something called HomeBot. It's a home value estimation, and it keeps you up to date on your home value once a month. Go straight to your inbox. And of course, that's not the end all be all.
Right.
But if you're, say 90 days out thinking about selling your house, give me a call. What I do, I meet with my clients, or my wife will meet with the clients.
Right.
And then we go over a checklist on what they should do to get their house ready, market ready.
Okay.
And we let them know how much their house is worth in today's current market.
Okay.
I'm honest and I'm straightforward. Unfortunately, not everybody's the same way. They'll tell you some bullshit, hoping that you list them, try to list it high. I've seen a lot of that this past year, unfortunately, because the market changed. But one thing I always do is be honest, even if it costs me my word and my balls. I won't break them for anybody. You know what I mean? Just not gonna break them for anybody. So
Absolutely.
I'm always gonna be real with people, and just give me a call and we'll make sure you're squared away. And at the same time, there's some people that are like, oh, I gotta get everything perfect.
Right.
You're never gonna get everything perfect.
Right.
But we're gonna tell you where the money is gonna be well spent versus. Spending all this money on things that isn't going to bring you a return, and next thing you know, you're out money.
So if I was getting my house ready to sell, and I decided to replace all the windows, like you would tell me, well, yeah, you could replace the windows, but you really need to look at this first. You really need to upgrade this side or adjust this, so you have your checklist that you can walk somebody down the path.
Yes,
and make it easy.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And where the thing is, a lot of people, they think they got to spend a bunch of money. No, because let's just say you end up putting 40 grand into your home in areas that, aren't going to give you a return. You end up being out that, let's just say 20 grand or whatever on the sell of your home. I want to make sure that you maximize your return, not, the opposite.
Right.
So.
Right. Why don't more people in real estate operate like you, Frank? What keeps other people from doing what you do?
I think, and this may sound bad, but most people want the easy way out. Most people, they want to make the money. They want people coming to them without putting in the work.
Right.
That's not how it fucking works, man.
Yeah.
That's just not how the world works. You have to bring value to others. You have to go out and hunt.
Yeah.
And then you show your value, and then deliver and have a good track record. I didn't start with a track record, of course.
Right.
But you got to be willing to hunt, and most people aren't willing to hunt. And then level of service, your standards. My standards when it comes to business and the way we operate, the way we market a home, are a lot higher than my competition's.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people will put this little small ass sign in people's yards. Don't even use professional photos. And if they do, they use the cheapest photographer in the marketplace. I only use the best. Right. And then if I find someone better, I will replace them with the best to make sure my clients get the best.
So if I'm looking at this, okay, I could go with this real estate person or I could go with Frank. All right. Help me understand something. So if I sell the house, do you get paid more or less than the other real estate agent who didn't use a professional photographer, who put the small sign in the yard, who maybe didn't have the system in place to get the house ready, possibly staged? Do they get paid more or less than you? How does that money break down on a real estate?
Most of the time, honestly, we all get paid the same.
That's
most
what I
of the time.
thought.
Not all the time.
Okay.
But there's some people that can't negotiate their own commission. They're like, oh, well, they cut their commission grossly. But then if they're cutting their commission, grossly, just think about how that's going to work out when they come negotiating on your house. Now, I've seen it firsthand, and honestly, I take advantage of those agents when I'm representing my client, of course.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't.
Well, you should, and that's when you're the pit bull, and that's when you're like, hey, this is my team on this side of the table. They have paid me what they should have paid you, but since you devalued yourself, I'm not playing that game. I'm worth more than that.
Exactly.
Right.
And then and you still have the people that know how to negotiate their commission and get that full amount.
Yeah.
And then they go do a shit job. And I'm like, dude, like, you're getting paid X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Let's just say someone's going to get paid 10, 15 grand on selling a home, and you're going to put a small ass sign in the yard and take photos with your goddamn iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Right.
Like, that person trusted you with their investment.
Well, are they going to refer you if you do it that way? Versus,
it's very unlikely.
Right.
It's very unlikely.
Right. And that's in our financial business, we've been up and running for about a year. And as you start seeing those Facebook messages complimenting your staff, or, Courtney's actually joined me in the financial, like your wife has joined you. And we got a testimonial the other day. Nice. Without requesting it, and that means it's different. And
you feel
right?
good, right?
It's different, right?
Yeah.
It was probably, truth be known, it was probably the most effort that we put on a deal that week, the lowest commission of the deal that week. Mm-hmm. But like you, we try to do the right thing. We provided them with the exact product they needed, and guess what they did? They went and told people that we're good. Okay, so thank you. I
love that.
And now,
because you did the right thing.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, that pays forever.
Yes.
And if we're looking at, we won't get into the faith and that in depth today, but that is important to us.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where
you reap what you sow.
Amen, bro.
I just read that out of the Bible. I don't remember the verse, but I just read that out of the Bible a few days ago.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I'll get you something. I got a good friend, Jim Gray. What's up, bro? A few weeks ago, he sent me a list of 31 scriptures, 31 gratitude, and 31 promises from God on why we don't need to worry about our businesses and stay focused on those things. So it was about the reap what you sow a couple of days ago, so I was curious if you'd seen that. But back to kind of wrap this up today, Frank, because, I would love to, in the future, if you're open to it, maybe when you're showing a home, maybe we do something live from here. Maybe we can show this is what Frank looks like in action. We can definitely have you back in. So I love it. I love hearing badass right now. If somebody would comment below a better word, epic was thrown out earlier, because badass, I don't think it's good enough. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this is badass, but we're searching. So please help us. Frank, to wrap up, I always like to when I meet with people, I never want them to need something that I didn't provide. So as we wrap up, how would you, look into the camera, what would you share today as your message to the listeners?
Message to the listeners?
Yeah.
Whatever's on your heart, this is just coming out from the gut. Whatever's in your heart, or whatever's, in your gut feeling, maybe it's God, your intuition telling you to do something. Go fucking do it, man. Life's too short to not, whatever you've been having in your mind for the last, year, 2 years, and you haven't gotten to it, go do it. Life's too short to wait. Life's too short to not go out there and do what you want with your life. Go out there and fucking do what you want.
That's awesome, bro. This guy right here has made as much money as anybody I know in the real estate business, and consistently. But coming from, you look at everything from your roller coaster upbringing to your success in business right now, and you're the common denominator, Frank. It's cool that you gave credit to those other people, but I do. I want to commend you, and I learned more today. But, how can we help? What can we do? The white glove service. That's cool. That's cool. So what does that mean real quick? What does white glove service is?
White glove service basically is, you see a lot of luxury restaurants where you go to these nice restaurants in Vegas and they're wearing the white gloves and stuff. We see ourselves as a white glove service when it comes to North Alabama or Southern California on the areas that we service.
Yeah.
With our clients, we want to make sure we give them the best experience possible. When I talk about standards, our standards are high, and they're high for a reason, and we like giving our clients the best experience. So that's why we went with the white glove service.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, Frank's been awesome. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I've picked up a lot of nuggets today. We'll have Frank back on soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, man. And if you're watching, make sure you guys like, comment, and share. Make sure, if you ain't following Brian, make sure you follow